Hello again, everyone. I'm Charles Gross.
And I'm Leslie Hoban Blake.
Welcome to Two on the Aisle.
This evening, we're going to speak about the playwright Samuel Beckett and three of his short plays. The entire evening was roughly 85 minutes. It's called Beckett Briefs, and they are brief. One of them I've been dying to see. I've read it a dozen times. I've never seen it before, and that is called Not I. You see a mouth and red lips and teeth. I imagine projected on a curtain. I can't imagine how they did it.
I
They
don't
didn't
think
have a
so.
hole in the curtain.
I think just very precise lighting. The lips, by
No,
the
no,
way,
no. But how did the person get from up and down and over and to without ever being? The mouth was always on the curtain. It didn't disappear from the curtain. No, it had to be projections of some kind. If you
really?
think about it, Charlie, how
I,
did it get there?
I'm not. It could be, but I'm not so sure. But either
Okay.
way, Sarah Street, who is the lips, should definitely audition for the upcoming revival of the Rocky Horror Show.
Yes, indeed. She's the
Basically,
mouth, the lips, and the teeth. Right. Yes.
she talks and she talks and she talks and she talks, and I couldn't hear a word she said, and I didn't comprehend anything she said. So, quite frankly, I didn't find this first play very interesting.
I sat behind you, Charlie, and I definitely heard and ultimately understood everything she said because everything she said was very quickly the first time, and then she repeated it again, and then she repeated it a third time. So the second time was much slower, and the third time was halfway between. And what Beckett wrote about this, and
Maybe
what
if
he
I knew
said,
how to read lips, it might have been easier for me.
ah ha ha, very funny. What Beckett said about this is that the mouth represents the faceless women that he used to see up and down the lane when he would go out as a child and a young man who muttered to themselves. This is a woman muttering to herself about her life, and was it a good life? Was it a bad life? She's obviously old. She's afraid of death, but she knows she's going to be dying soon. And did her life amount to anything? So that's what all of that's about. And she just keeps saying it over and over and over again. The way you've seen people mumble on the subway, I'm sure, or
Yeah,
on
over
the
and
bus.
over and over again.
That's what it is.
And I
And that's
can't say
it.
the people on the subway are all that interesting either.
Beckett is not an old playwright. Beckett died in 1989. And these pieces, most of them were written in the 50s and 60s. So he knew what was going on. He was not a student of anybody else, really. He was theater of the absurd in to the nth degree that we
Perhaps
know.
culminating in Waiting for Godot, or is it Godot these?
Or Endgame, Scotto these days, and Endgame. We see bits and pieces of Endgame in this because the next play that we see in the way these plays are put together is called Play. So when you look it up online, it says Beckett Play, which was very cute.
And here you
But
see every, from top to bottom, but they're in these giant urns. And
actually, all you see are their
again,
heads.
it's Sarah Street joined by Kate Forbes and Roger Dominic Casey. And instead of one person talking incoherently, you have three people talking incoherently and repeating it. So maybe you'll catch it. I didn't. And I, again, was no more interested in watching three people yakking than I was in watching a pair of lips yakking.
To the audience watching, Charlie has trouble with the Irish accent on top of everything else. And I know people are going to go, "What Irish accent?" But it was in a heavy Irish accent. So not only was it fast, but it was also accented heavily. But as I say, if they do it three times, I was able to get it by the third time, usually by the second time. The incident that's going on in this particular little piece, again, this runs about 8 9 minutes, um, is that the three people are involved in an affair. Two are husband and wife, and the third is the mistress. Now, that's exactly what we saw in Rashomon when we went down to the that theater that we saw that play at with puppets and
With the
whatnot
puppets,
last
yes.
year. And we liked that very much. And
Did.
Rashomon came out in 1950, so obviously it's a play. It's a movie that Beckett knew, and this is his version of it in Ireland, set in Ireland. And what it is everybody has a different opinion of what went on. The husband is saying, "Well, I did this because so and so," and the wife is saying, "Well, no, this is how I feel about it." And the mistress is saying, "Yes, but this is what happened to me." And that's what they're doing. Each one of them is explaining his or her part in the affair, and
and
that's it.
and, and I might have enjoyed it had it been a little more comprehensive, had I been able to understand the dialogue, had I been able to process the dialogue.
Obviously, Beckett didn't give a crap about whether or not you enjoyed his play.
which
That was
brings
never his
us
intention.
to the
Yes,
third, right?
yes, exactly. Thank you, Charlie.
Right? Which is the one that I was actually looking forward to because I am actually familiar with the play. I almost was in it once.
Oh,
I'm a fan of F. Murray Abraham, who is, the title, and it's basically it's this man who has made audio tapes of his life over the years, and I'm very happy that they were authentic, true to Beckett's vision of this. They use an actual reel-to-reel tape recorder, and let's face it, when we were growing up, this was like the iPad or the iPod or thing. It was the
once upon a time, the only kind of reels that anybody would accept, I was looking to do voiceover work, and the only thing they would accept were reel to reel. I had to go out and borrow a reel to reel tape recorder and make my tapes that way.
And then I'm happy to say that the machine actually works, and F. Murray Abraham knows how to work it. I met him after the show. He said, "Of course I know how to work it. I was around. They had these things. I don't think the sound is actually coming from the machine. It'd be great if it was, but it's basically he's listening to his tape. He reacts, then he tries to make a new tape, and he's overwhelmed. And I was really expecting to enjoy it, but maybe I don't know, it was so dulled by the other two that I didn't get into it, even though I was expecting to, because here he's comprehensible. He's
Well,
talking.
here there's supposed to be humor. It's written in. He eats a banana. He eats another banana. He throws the skin on the floor. That, by the way, is
Oh
in
yes.
Beckett's directions.
Oh
It
yeah.
says he slips on the banana peel.
Mm.
So you know that it's being done exactly the way it's supposed to be. And here you have time. There's a lot of silence in this because the room, as opposed to the absence of any kind of anything in the other plays, you have three jars and you have a mouth. That's it. But here you have everything that isn't there. You have all the accumulated assemblage of a life that this man has collected, and he's a shuffling old guy, and you get this is like his tool room. It's all everything is there, and he opens a drawer and he finds a tape and he looks at the date and he goes, "Oh, because I love that tape." So he gives it a hug, and I mean, and there's nobody better at adding and clowning and putting things, because this is a serious play and yet it's very funny.
Yes.
And I
And yet disappointingly, maybe
yes.
I was in the wrong frame of mind that night because I was looking forward to this.
Well, you obviously dislike the other two so much.
I neither laughed nor cried. So
Well, you didn't have to do either. I did get I got that little thing that you get in your eye just before a tear comes. That little stinging, I got that with this one. And don't forget, Murray is 90 years old. I mean, Murray is not a child, and he is not he's not even a mature actor. He's an
but
old guy.
but the energy that he put into it.
Oh, he was magnificent.
I mean,
Just
if he
magnificent.
actually is 90,
He is.
he was going 20 years. He looked like 20 years earlier. Plus when he has his voice, his current voice is the old man, but his younger voice on the tapes, is a
Yes.
man in his
Yes.
20s, 30s,
And
40s. And that
And also, he just won an award, a Golden Globe, I think, for White Lotus last season, playing the father of somebody and just stealing the whole thing. I mean, he was magnificent.
and of course I
He's
still
a
remember his performance in the film Amadeus.
right, well, yes, but this is a little more recent. This was like last year.
Yes.
So he's a constantly working actor, and I looked forward to it, and I was blown away by what he was able to do. And if I had to give different, I don't know if we're going to give an aggregate
I
vote
think
to
so.
this,
If you want to
or
break it down, go ahead. If
let's
you
break
want to
it
rank
down.
maybe
Okay. Well, I'm going to give it an aggregate. I'm going to say that Kieran O'Reilly did a magnificent job of following the stage directions and yet putting his own little touches where they were, where they made some difference. And the actors were just sublime. We've mentioned all their names, but they were just sublime. To be able to do this and make sense out of it. I know you didn't get any sense out of it, but I did. So they made sense out of it for me. And I give it a 4.75 across the board, and I give Murray a 5.
much as I wanted to get into this, much as I love F. Murray Abraham, I can only give this 2.5. I
Uh,
really did not have the evening I was looking forward to on this.
so is that your aggregate, or is that? I mean, did Craps get a little
That's
more,
that's
or
that's my yeah. Crap gets may get a little more, but not much.
Okay, he
especially because
gets the half,
the
right?
one I really wanted to see. That was the one I was really.
I know,
Gonna
I know. Me too. That was the one I wanted. But Mouth I've never seen, so Mouth I really wanted to see.
Okay. Well, now you've seen it, and Rocky Horror, here she comes, or
Yeah.